Ruthie Fearberg, Senior Features Editor at Playbill, and today we are at the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center to take a look at the new exhibit celebrating 75 years of Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals. Shall we take a look inside? Now we're here inside the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center with Doug Reside, who is going to show us around this amazing exhibit.
I curated this exhibit on the 75th anniversary of the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. So March of this year was the 75th anniversary of Oklahoma. And so the first floor looks at the sort of history of the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, focusing particularly on Oklahoma. And then the second floor looks at Carousel, which of course was just on Broadway, or is just on Broadway.
Perfect. And Oklahoma is credited with being the first of things in musical theater. So tell me what inspired you for this floor.
That's right. So a lot of early musical theater histories will call Oklahoma the first American musical or the first book musical. Of course, it's none of those things. There's Showboat and Pal Joey and all these other musicals that preceded 1943, but it was innovative in its own way. And so the exhibit on the first floor looks at all the innovations that Rodgers and Hammerstein and the team of the Theater Guild actually did in the 40s.
All right, well, let's take a look at some Rodgers and Hammerstein first.
Sure.
So here's where people can stop and look at footage from the movie and rehearsals for the original production.
That's right, yeah. So the Rodgers and Hammerstein organization lent us some footage of some early rehearsals for the show, as well as the feature film, which of course toured the country actually as a roadshow attraction in the 50s. This video also has pieces from our own archive at New York Public Library.
I was going to say, the most special thing I think in here is the flashes that I'm seeing from your archives of
Agnes DeMille, yeah. So we have all of Agnes DeMille's papers, so all of her choreographic notes, the designs that she did for the storyboards that she did for the movie. And so you really get a sense of her creative process. Actually, you can see on the screen, maybe right now, the choreographic notes are kind of scrolling in the background behind the dancers.
Amazing. And thanks to these sound lasers, I can stand here and hear everything on screen and then walk away, and it's quiet like a library again. So aside from its innovation in dance, Rodgers and Hammerstein had a huge say in the innovation of producing, right?
Well, so they worked with a company called the Theater Guild, which had really worked to introduce new American theater and also import European theater to the United States. And in particular, Teresa Helburn, who was one of the founders of the Theater Guild, was very interested in finding new kinds and new forms of musical theater. So she worked to help produce Porgy and Bess, and then helped adapt Green Grow the Lilacs into Oklahoma, which was one of the shows that she had produced in the previous decade. This is Teresa Helburn and Oscar Hammerstein, who is the lyricist but somehow playing for this audition for Oklahoma.
This is my favorite thing in this exhibit. You can read early scripts of Green Grow the Lilacs, which was of course the inspiration for Oklahoma, and Oklahoma.
Right, so the library has a lot of early type scripts of Rodgers and Hammerstein shows and actually all sorts of plays. This is one very early type script of Green Grow the Lilacs, here the play, and then we can flip over here to Oklahoma. But you can read the musical as it begins to develop, and there's references to songs that were never included in the show. There's a song called She Likes You Quite a Lot that appears at roughly the same point as People Will Say We're in Love. And you can really see the show as it begins to develop from the original text of Green Grow the Lilacs by Lynn Riggs to Oscar Hammerstein's book and lyrics for Oklahoma the musical.
So when you come to the New York Public Library, make sure that you stop here because you're going to see photos from the original productions of Carousel and Oklahoma. You have to see them up close, taken by Florence Van Dam, who was the photographer of Broadway of her day.
Right, so she moved from England in the early 20th century and photographed Broadway really from the 30s through the 1960s.
Amazing. All right, we're going to turn the corner.
So Oklahoma and the Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals have had revivals on Broadway almost every decade since 1943.
Wow.
And so this wall just looks at many of the posters and advertisements and in some cases ticket order forms for different revivals and production.
So this, of course, speaks to not only the legacy of Rodgers and Hammerstein, but the legacy of the New York Public Library and all the fabulous archives you have, the Hirschfelds, the posters, everything.
That's right.
But I hear there's more to see on the first floor before we head upstairs.
Yeah, let's go take a look.
All right.
Here we have department store windows selling the cast album as a thing that people across the country might want to buy. Oklahoma was the first cast recording to have the original cast and the original orchestra performing most of the songs from the original production.
All right, looks like we're ready for floor number 2.
Let's go.
So if floor number 1 is about innovation, floor number 2 is about design.
The library has the archive of Joe Malziner, who is one of the designers who worked very closely with Rodgers and Hammerstein, and his designs and sketches are just completely beautiful, I think. One thing I noticed as I was looking through these designs is the beauty of nature that is reflected in the design that sort of contrasts with the violence of nature that the lyrics sometimes point out.
You have to be a real lyrics nerd, but it checks out. And then after seeing all of the gorgeous designs of Joe Malziner, we get to the end of the row.
Right, and so one of the things that I love about the library is you can see the work of an artist through the various stages of the process. So here in this corner you can see one of the early sketches for the schoolhouse scene of the graduation at the end of Carousel. And then Joe Malziner more fully renders that into this painting from Mary Rodgers, the daughter of Richard Rodgers, that used to hang in her apartment.
Clearly this is a treasure trove for any fan of Rodgers and Hammerstein, but really any fan of theater. It's a must-see exhibit. So come see everything that Doug and his team have created here at the New York Public Library for the Performing Arts at Lincoln Center. We'll see you at the library.